A number of questions have been doing the rounds on social media. Thus, today, we will give them our best shot. This preacher Rabbi Elem Dumizulu of Marifado Development Organization are dealing with their questions to our ancestors. Why did the African ancestors not help and defend Africa from being colonized or genocide being unleashed on all our brothers and sisters who are indigenous in many places on the earth? There is no such thing as an African American. We are all one. So why were these indigenous people all over from America, Australia, Asia not protected and delivered and supported by our ancestors when they were destroyed and decimated? Where were our ancestors during slavery? You can see here an Arab slave market where our ancestors were decimated, killed, hunted like animals, and used as beasts of burden. Where are the ancestors today as we face diseases like the coronavirus, AIDS, corruption, resource mismanagement, Chinese recolonization of Africa, and dictatorships in Africa? Where are our ancestors when we try to explain to our Christian brothers and sisters, as well as Islamic brothers and sisters, black brothers and sisters, that the whipping post, abuse, and the forced conversion is what put our brothers and sisters and ancestors into these religions? But they seem not to see it. Doesn't click in their heads. We have thousands of questions like, why do they seem powerless in the face of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism? We mean our ancestors. Why didn't they inspire someone or a group of people to come up with brilliant ideas which inspire and liberate a lot of black people? Unquestionably, we must make it clear that Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, or any other philosophy, is not African friendly. We have shown that many times. These religions are the vehicles that have destroyed us and also have not worked at all. From atheism, agnosticism, evolution, right up to whatever ism you can put, it has destroyed Africa. We also want to show our black brothers who are following a religion called Islam, whether African Islam, black Islam, or what, or nation of what, that all they are following was already practiced by our ancestors in its pure state. In ancient Kemet, there is an image here that is showing that Africans used to pray towards Gebel Bakar, the holy mountain of Amen-Ra, in Napata, Kush, Sudan. And now they have been forced to pray facing Asia, and they're praying through a burning bush or to Mecca or some other place. But this is the reason we are asking these questions. What about African witches and the sangomas, or those that fly on broomsticks, or those that play nyao? Well, the proof is, since we are still under oppression, they have been useless in the face of Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and many other religions. They also are supporting Christianity by giving them juju. There is proof is there. I fortify 1,700 prophets in Africa, including TP Joshua. That's Nana Kwaku Bonsam, a Ghanaian herbalist. They have not been helpful to our ancestors. Look at them. This belt is the same. They wear the same belts. Look at the belts they wear. All these are benefiting from African juju. They cannot in any time use their knowledge or powers to connect us to our ancestors, but they connect you to the European ancestor known as Jesus Christ, who is a European. So where were the ancestors when Africa was being colonized? Our answer or answers to this question revolve around crucial philosophical fundamentals that emerges from the psychological implication of this question. The logical pathway forces us to ask other questions too, like which ancestors or ancestors are alive or dead. The straight answer is that during colonialism and enslavement, and that even today, our ancestors are here and there. Unless one is blinded by atheism, agnosticism, or any other teaching, our ancestors are alive today in our blood, within our magnetic sphere, within our spiritual realm as individuals and as a race. It is very clear, therefore, that during slavery and colonization, and today in modern times, our ancestors are weak, frail, and passive. There are certain caveats to that. Our ancestral teaching makes it clear that not all ancestors are good or powerful. Some have evil vibes, and they are not on our sides, especially those with their graves and a cross put on top of their graves. It means their soul and their power has not been divinized. It is now dangerous or deadly to us. So the process of death and the process of soul management after death is critical and crucial to the empowerment or disempowerment of the dead, especially if they are of African ancestry. If any ancestor died and no funeral rituals or either was buried in a way that violated his or her energy, it means it is practically ridiculous to expect their soul energy or moya to do anything or to have power. For their rite of passage is incomplete. They wait their release. Therefore, it is us, the living, that must awake and resurrect such an ancestor. The big honor is on us. What have we too done with what we know? Let us ask practical questions to determine which ancestors in general were or are supposed to deliver us from enslavement and colonization or personal war. Again, we fell from a very high state. Forced conversions deprived our ancestors of their ideological grounding. Africans' rite of passage was violated even during their physical life as well as their death. Slaves were uncommonly vulnerable to conversion, forced name change, loss of totems, and eventually they were delinked from their real roots. There is a very clear process on how our ancestors became powerless. We need to pinpoint certain events that contributed to that situation first. Detrimental good hospitality, missionary trickery of all religions undermined our ancestors. They trusted the enemy. Sellout Africans like Tip, who leaked traditional information, abused our brothers, sold our brothers, and were conduit of religious philosophies to blame. Also, the violent takeover of North Africa by the Greeks, as well as the Turkish Greek Arabs in so-called Islamic revolutions or whatever, caused our demise. Prior to all this, however, we had already lost our superpower status, which had built the last civilizations in Africa and all over the earth, so-called ancient Kemet. Greatest taboo ever violated. Foreigners were allowed to enter Kemet by Amasis II, Psammetichus, and many other indigenous rulers in North Africa. The red line was removed. Our ancestors had admonished that the mysteries were only food for the children. The Ugandan-born Amasis, after a coup, removed the restrictions against the Greeks and permitted them to enter Kemet, coerced the priesthood to allow them to settle and to study our mysteries. And from there, we had never risen up. The 30th dynasty was the last indigenous black African dynasty in Kemet. When they had won their national independence from the black Persians, Achaemenids, who later reconquered it again. Most people don't realize that the Greeks were never in a position to defeat Kemet. It was the alliance of the Macedonians, Greeks, Anatolians, Kurds, and Aryans that defeated the black Persians, who were in control of Kemet. The reason the Greeks were able to take control of Kemet is because of the great mistake of the 30th dynasty, which allied with the Greeks to help oust the Persians. The trade-off was for them to allow the Greeks to study in their schools. As a result, the Greeks were already stationed in Kemet as allies, as soldiers and students, in perfect position to betray the black people. When the black Persians retook Hemet after 30th dynasty, the Greeks were already there and allied again with Hemet to remove the black Persians, only to take the throne themselves. However, Southern Africa was saved a little bit by the great 7 tribes along the equator who remained intact and stopped Islam or Muslims from coming further down. And that's we were able to establish the Monomotapa Empire. But we have also committed great taboos. Cecil John Rhodes must be removed from Matopos because Matopos is a holy shrine. Malindadzimu is the place of the benevolent spirits. This is the place where the voice of the Creator used to be heard. Our wars, 1896-97 uprisings, as well as the last so-called Chimurenga II, was initiated beginning at Matopos, Njelele. And the voice gave us taboos, what to do and what not to do. And this man, who later became the president of Zimbabwe through the machinations of the Round Table, and the Jesuits and the Illuminati, destroyed all hope of us ever reconnecting or reawakening the Matopos. But how did he do that? Cecil John Rhodes must be removed from Matopos. Cecil John Rhodes demanded that he be buried there. There was a reason why. The Madebele honored Cecil John Rhodes with the traditional king's burial. They called Ubaete Ngos and assisted to dig his grave and posted a guard to protect his grave on the side. Mugabe's government refused to remove him and exhume him. And today, even the current government doesn't want to entertain anything like that. The proof that ancestors have power can be clearly seen in modern times by studying the Haiti Revolution. Again, there are taboos, and the Haitian leaders violated those taboos and made Haiti one of the weakest countries on the earth. Now, where were the ancestors when Africa was being colonized? They were right there in our blood, fast asleep. The lullaby, as well as the doubts about the efficacy of our indigenous system, started largely after King Amasis married the Greeks, allowed them to come into Africa, violating the Red Line taboo. To empower our system again, we must cleanse Africa first. And re-establish the Red Line again. Millions who perished during slavery and colonization must be ritualistically reburied. Since we were defeated spiritually, first, all our efforts must systematically remove colonial religions, practices, and rituals. We must also perform singular family funeral rites and singular liturgies. We must personally engage in libation and thoughtful prayers. Our ancestral system works. Unfortunately, we have fallen too far. But we are fighting back. We have systems now in place to restore some of the aspects that can be restored. If you want to find out more, send us an email and get in touch. This is our email, join@marifado.com. This preacher, Rabbi Elim Tumizulu, saying our ancestors need us. We can start the process via thoughtful, divinized prayers. Have a good day.